Driven by a robust growth trajectory, MCIA implemented StoreSense, GrayMatter's flagship product, powered by IoT-enabled real-time sales data extraction, empowering non-aero revenue and retail performance. Listen in to Nabil Rasheed, Deputy Chief Commercial Officer, MCIA, as he shares his thoughts on the rationale for the engagement and the journey with StoreSense so far.
Generally, airports have been placing an increasing emphasis on non-aeronautical revenues, a primary driver of that being duty-free, retail, food and beverage, etc., all of which operate on a revenue share kind of a mechanism, right? So the operational aspect of it became, how do we very accurately, conveniently track the sales of our concessionaires so that we ensure minimal revenue leakages and that sort of thing, right? But that was just one aspect. The more interesting aspect to us actually is we've gotten some of the best brands in the country into the airport ecosystem, and we realized that we had to play a very close part in helping them grow their business at the airport, which required a lot of insights that we needed to uncover from what they were selling at the airport, and how they could then effectively tackle the levers of penetration and transaction value, etc., in order to drive that, the holy grail of spend per pax.
MCIA is leveraging StoreSense to not just bring revenue assurance, but also to be a true partner enabling their concessionaire's performance. StoreSense was selected through a rigorous vendor evaluation process.
So we knew where some of the technological bottlenecks lie, especially given the technical landscape of our concessionaires. And so that gave us a good starting point in terms of, from a technical perspective, what are some of the bottlenecks that either the solution has to avoid or it has to have solutions to. And so in terms of so from that standpoint, I think one of the things which stood out to us was the fact that there's multimodality in terms of integrating with concessionaire sales databases, and a very clear and transparent pricing system, right? It was regardless of how you wish to, let's say, connect to a concessionaire, it was very clear in terms of what we would be expected to pay for that service. Then on the functional perspective, the things which really stood out were, in addition to, let's say, the basics, which were concessionaire sales tracking, etc., what we looked at was if there are solutions or if there were frameworks that this particular system offered that made it more fine-tuned to an airport environment, right? It's very unlike a more typical retail environment. So what we found was, given your background and your expertise across multiple airports and generally having that amount of focus within airports commercial, we found that you were talking our own language, right? So that was actually very, it was very relieving, because it was almost as if, we had sort of, we were working with people who really knew at a very deep level what value they were trying to give the airport.
The integration capabilities of StoreSense was also a key determinant for MCIA.
And the other really interesting aspects which stood out for us was, what else does the solution offer? And to us, what stood out were its integration capabilities. So almost every airport system has ERP, etc. And again, some of the bottlenecks that we have faced personally are, billing integrations with, SAP or other kinds of ERP systems. That was, one big plus point of this solution. And more crucially, it was, how do you marry commercial data with operational data? So we had a wealth of commercial knowledge, but doing the kind of correlations with gate assignments, flight times, and all of that on Excel would have been a rather maddening exercise, right? And what we found out to our surprise, and we were really pleased by, is the fact that you also offered integrations with AMS and AODB systems, right? Wherein you can make those kind of correlations and do very quick A/B tests, and again extract every ounce of commercial performance whilst ensuring operational stability.
StoreSense is delivering value at MCIA with this wonderful collaboration showing tangible outcomes early in the engagement.
I have several examples. I don't know how much detail you'd like me to go into. I can go into a fair amount of detail, but I think one of the first insights, or rather the first discoveries that we had, was of a revenue leakage, especially systems that are some of our concessionaires have kiosk-based, like sales on self-service kiosks, etc., which generally tend to be overlooked in submissions of your net sales statements, right? But the minute we were able to hook up to the back end, we were able to see all of this transaction data, right? So that's a definite, a very immediate and a very tangible outcome that we saw. And the others in particular are whenever we see variances in sales trends, we were able to, for example, in one certain instance, one of our more popular concessionaires was declining in sales over a period of 2 months or so. And very quickly, we actually had the GrayMatter team do up a dashboard in particular just for that use case. And it's something we are using across the board. And we found out that this particular concessionaire was moving to a strategy of white label or private labels only, and not selling some of the top selling brands in the Cebu market. So it was such an instant and obvious insight the minute we had that. We were of course able to engage the concessionaire in a very productive discussion, and today the airport store in fact is one of their only stores where they continue to hold products that are outside of their private label range, because they also see the value of holding that inventory, for example. In another case, we noticed a decline in sales again from one of our very popular concessionaires, which we were able to very quickly attribute to their freezer being out of service for a few weeks. And again, it's one thing when somebody says, oh, I think it's this. But then when you're able to correlate, let's say, the gut feel and let's say the feedback from the ground with real sales data, that's when you can make a very compelling, persuasive argument that you then take to whoever needs to be convinced. In this case, it was the management of the concessionaire, and it was very quickly rectified, and it was business as usual, right? So it's just I'm highlighting a few examples.
Aboitiz and MCIA has a dynamic growth roadmap. Nabil shares his views on StoreSense's role in this journey. Today,
it's early days, but I still see it along two vectors. One is, one is an extensive vector, and the other is an intensive vector. So the first one would be, as our airport's ecosystem grows, it makes sense to have the same analytical engine looking at our data across multiple databases across airports. So it would be growing with us as we grow airports. And the other would be, I believe we've only scratched the tip of the iceberg in a sense, in terms of harnessing the power of this engine, right? So in Cebu, we are now getting to a level of sophistication where we can start doing really interesting things with the data sets that we have. So it would be about doing things with the data, but doing it better, more in like the whole intensive vector that I'm talking about. And a natural next step for me would be how do I not only harness this data to maximize the commercial performance of the airport? It would be even at a planning stage. How do I take these insights and go about planning everything from my, let's say, the landscape of my commercial layout in the terminal to resource allocation, multiple facets that I think we still haven't really looked into, but we will over the next months and months to come. And then the third thing would be how better to capture to what else can we offer the customer? We know the spending habits of a certain person. We are able to correlate it across multiple data points. Now, can I use that information to create a very compelling, let's say, loyalty value proposition, or or other things, which essentially is a win-win for not only the concessionaire but for the passenger and obviously for the airport as well.
The GrayMatter team is absolutely focused on delivering success to our clients. Nabil shares his experience of working with GrayMatter.
I think in terms of the solution itself, as I said, it's a robust solution. It's tried and tested across multiple other airports. It's scalable, and it comes with a great deal of capability out of the box. So that helps you hit the ground running. But I think what was really heartening about working with the GrayMatter team is, as I said, because of your expertise in airport retail and airport commercial, it felt like we were talking the same language. So I never really, of course, there are times when we need things that need to be done, need to be customized for our particular context, but be it at the implementation stage, whether it was the whole project management cycle, or during the business as usual stage where we needed to have various dashboards and other things done, it was so easy to work with the team because of the fact that we were speaking the same language. I feel like we were able to be so much more productive, in our discussions and in our output. And to me, that is actually what really stands out. It's the people behind the systems that really make it tick. And I think you guys have got a great team working behind you as well.
GrayMatter team is glad to have had the opportunity to work with MCIA, and we look forward to continue delivering remarkable value in this engagement. At GrayMatter, we don't just build tech. We help airports grow smarter and improve their ancillary revenue.